heart ached broken certainties. The vote was almost a dissolution, a quiet surrendering of breath. Really, Arthur had braced for argument, a familiar friction between Eleanor's pragmatic calculus and his own tenacious hope for revelation. Instead, the decision to leave early descended upon them like a damp shroud, leaching color from the afternoon without a dramatic chill. Each packed garment felt weighted with concession, each folded shirt a small epitaph to the unsettling truth. They hadn't come to find something here, but to have something unfound within them stirred awake. Eleanor moved with a brisk efficiency that bordered on resentment, her motions precise as if each roll of fabric was a silent indictment. See? Her movements seemed to murmur, "This is the cost of chasing shadows when reservations await." She hadn't explicitly blamed him, not yet, but the air hummed with barely contained frustration. Her composure, once a source of comfort, now frayed at the edges, revealing a raw impatience he hadn't fully appreciated, a frustration born not of the garage itself, but of years spent accommodating his intellectual wanderings. He'd believed her ambition was a shield. It was, but also a meticulously constructed cage. Leo retreated almost immediately into the digital embrace of Neo-Tokyo. The real world, with its unsettling bangs and mocking gesture cards, held less appeal than the meticulously rendered landscapes he could curate and control. The garage's haunting hadn't created his detachment. It had merely amplified it, drawing him further into a simulated reality where narrative yielded to his command. He moved like a sleepwalker navigating familiar terrain, already halfway gone before the SUV's engine even turned over. Arthur found himself studying them both, Eleanor's tight jaw a white line against her skin, Leo's glazed eyes reflecting the ghost light of virtual towers. Realizing his focus had been too broad, he'd been seeking grand philosophical answers in the shadowy corners of the garage while neglecting the smaller, more potent fractures blooming within his own family. The spirit, whatever it was, wasn't interested in abstract existentialism. It thrived on the specific weight of individual choices and their cascading consequences. It wasn't about what haunted them. It was about why they allowed themselves to be haunted. He glanced at Clara, quietly sketching in her notebook. She hadn't complained about leaving, but her drawings had become increasingly populated with mournful gestures, their painted faces mirroring Eleanor's quiet sadness. Though Clara's gestures weren't mocking, they felt. She possessed an intuitive understanding of emotional topography, sensing subtle shifts in mood that he often missed. He wished he'd spent more time listening instead of lecturing, observing instead of interpreting. As they crammed into the SUV, ready to escape back to their carefully curated existence, Arthur noticed it. Another jester card nestled on the dashboard, staring back at them with unsettling familiarity. It depicted all four Harrisons tied up with ribbons that looked suspiciously like question marks, a visual embodiment of their collective indecision and regret. It wasn't a threat so much as a pointed observation. You are bound by your choices, even the ones you believe are free. The drive began in silence, punctuated only by the hum of the engine and Leo's occasional muffled exclamations from within his VR world. The hills unspooled like green velvet, swallowed by the deepening bruise of the forest, each tree a silent witness to their retreat. Arthur watched Eleanor navigate with steely determination, thinking how easily she compartmentalized, how readily she filed away discomfort and moved forward. It was a strength, certainly, but also a barrier erected against vulnerability. He tried to formulate an eloquent summation of their experience, a neat philosophical package to present upon their return, but words felt flimsy and inadequate. The haunting hadn't offered answers so much as exposed questions. It had peeled back layers of carefully constructed normalcy, revealing the delicate scaffolding holding their lives together. Their comfort, he realized, wasn't about eliminating uncertainty, but mastering the art of ignoring it. A slow realization bloomed. Perhaps philosophy wasn't illuminating truth so much as offering an elegant way to avoid feeling its sting. The lake shimmered in his rearview mirror as they merged onto the highway, appearing both inviting and ominous. The final glimpse revealed something odd. A shadowy figure stood on the shore, waving slowly, almost casually, as if bidding them farewell. Could have been Brenda, or another local, or simply a trick of light filtering through the pines. But Arthur felt a prickle on his skin, an unsettling sense of recognition. The spirit wasn't necessarily malicious. It simply was, an observer content to watch humanity grapple with its own absurdity, perhaps even amused by it. Back home, life resumed its familiar rhythm: work, school, routine. But things were subtly different now. Eleanor quietly started researching alternative career paths, considering options that offered more flexibility and creative fulfillment, options she dismissed for years as impractical luxuries. Leo still immersed himself in VR, but he spent slightly less time plugged in each day, occasionally glancing up at real-world interactions with newfound curiosity, as if testing whether they could be as compelling as his simulated worlds. Clara continued painting gestures, her canvases becoming miniature maps of their family's emotional landscape, the colors shifting from muted grays to bolder hues. At dinner that night, a relatively quiet affair, the usual banter felt infused with a newfound awareness. They didn't talk directly about the garage or the haunting. It hung between them like an unspoken agreement, an acknowledgement that something had shifted beneath the surface, that old assumptions lay cracked and waiting for new growth. Their smiles were less automatic now, more tentative, more honest, edged with a shared sense of fragile exposure. Later that evening, after everyone else had gone to bed, Arthur discovered one last gesture card tucked inside his favorite copy of Kierkegaard's Fear and Trembling. The gesture on this card was subtly mocking him, tilting its head at a jaunty angle as if questioning his entire philosophical enterprise, as if to say, all your rigorous thought, and still you tremble. It wasn't cruel. It was gently playful, a reminder that even profound thought could be touched by absurdity, that faith and doubt were often two sides of the same coin. He reread Kierkegaard's meditation on Abraham's sacrifice, and wondered if he himself had been sacrificing authenticity at the altar of intellectual pursuit. Finally, as he drifted off to sleep, another card fell from under his pillow, the final offering depicting jesters dancing wildly in celebratory chaos. An acceptance after all. It wasn't resolution. It was resonance, a subtle echo reminding him that life itself was often best understood not through definitive answers, but through embracing complexity and finding beauty within the beautifully flawed dance of existence. The chaos wasn't frightening. It felt liberating, a loosening of constraints,